In this video, I will show you how to simplify complex expressions such as these using the properties of exponents. Let's simplify inside the parentheses first. So when I multiply everything in the numerator, I'm going to start by multiplying, for example, a to the fourth power times a to the negative 2 power. And when you multiply variable expressions, you add these exponents. So that is going to give me a squared, because 4 plus negative 2 is 2. Similarly, I will have b to the 7th power. Alright, when I multiply the b's together. So I will still have this negative a to the 3rd power b squared. And I still have the negative 4th power. Now I will start canceling things out. Looking at a squared over a to the 3rd power, remember I'm only going to do this once, but a squared over a to the 3rd power, that means a times a over a times a times a. So these two a's are going to cancel out these two a's. So that's going to leave one a in the denominator. That's the kind of thought process you should be picturing as you do these problems. But from now on, we're going to just do that in our heads. So, looking at the a's, I'm going to go ahead and take this negative sign and just put it in the front for now. So I will have one a left in the denominator. Now, look at the b's. I have 7 b's in the top, 2 b's in the bottom. After they cancel out, I should have 5 b's left in the top. So I've got b to the 5th power over a. And that's to the negative 4 power. Okay, time for me to teach you a little something. Understand this. If I have x over y, let's say to the negative 2 power, that's going to be the same thing as y over x to the positive 2 power. So if you have a fraction and a negative exponent, you can take the reciprocal and then it's a positive exponent. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I've got negative a over, negative a over b to the 5th power. I did that reciprocal, and now it is a positive 4th power. Now this negative sign is going to disappear because I have an even power. If this were a 3, the negative would stay. But in the meantime, I'm going to do a to the 4th power and b to the 5th power to the 4th power. So I will have a to the 4th power over b to the 20th power. And this will be the final answer. Okay, b to the 20th power, don't forget. For example, if I have x to the 3rd power and that is raised to the 5th power, that will be x to the 15th power. You multiply these when you have a power raised to a power. Okay, as opposed to if I have x to the 3rd power times x to the 5th power, that's going to be x to the 8th power. This is when you add, this is when you multiply. Okay, let's take a look at problem number 2. So, I'm going to use the same strategy I used last time. I'm going to leave this negative sign out front, and I'm going to do this stuff right now. So that 2 is there. It has nothing to do, so I'm going to leave it alone. I see this negative sign right here, actually. Normally I would take this negative sign and put it out front. Okay, but then there's already a negative sign there, so this negative sign and this negative sign, they're going to cancel each other out. Okay, so there really is no negative sign anymore. Anyway, u to the negative 4th power, u to the negative 3 power, together that will become u to the negative 7th power, because you add those. And then v to the negative 4th power. Okay, when you raise a power to a power, you multiply, as I was showing you right here. You multiply these. So that's what's going to happen right here. Except I do have that negative sign I got to deal with. I had to think about it, but let's treat this negative sign as a -1, just so I can show you what I am doing. So I've got -1, and for now I'm just going to put -1 to the -4th power. I'll deal with that later. Now for the rest of these, u to the -1 power to the -4th power, I multiply those, and that's going to give me u to the +4 power. I multiply these, and that will give me v to the 8th power. Okay, now what about -1 to the -4th power? Okay, so look, -1 is like -1 over 1 to the -4th power. Now, remember when I told you that if you have a fraction and a negative exponent, you can do the reciprocal and make it positive? Remember that? Well, imagine if I did that here. The reciprocal of this would be 1 over -1 to the +4th power. Okay, so that's really just -1 to the 4th power, which is really just +1. So the bottom line is -1 to the -4th power is equal to +1. So this little piece right here is really a +1, so I really don't need to keep it around. I'm just going to erase it. So this is what I have so far. Okay, now what? Well, it's time for me to teach you something else. When you see a variable with a negative exponent, it is on the wrong side of the fraction. So this u to the -7th power needs to be moved to the bottom, where it will become u to the +7th power. Similarly, this v to the -4th power, that negative exponent tells you that it really needs to be moved to the other side. So let's do that. Okay, so the 2 is not moving. The u to the 4th power is not moving, and the v to the 8th power is not moving. But the u to the -7 is going to drop down and become u to the 7th power. The v to the -4th power is going to drop down and become v to the 4th power. That's how that works. So then I'm going to have 2 in the numerator over u to the 11th power, you add those, times v to the 12th power. Alright, you add those. So this is the final answer for number 2. Alright, let's take a look at number 3. As always, I'm going to start by working the inside. But something's jumping out at me that I just can't resist handling right away. I've got a -2 in the numerator, and I've got a -2 in the denominator. Those are going to cancel each other out. So these -2's will not appear in the next step. Moving on. Look at the numerator. I've got that negative sign there. So I think I'm just going to put it in the front again. Okay, there's a negative sign there. So I've got u to the 4th power. Alright, u to the 4th power. I've got v, well, just v. -1 plus 2 is 1, so that's v. And in the denominator, I've just got this u and then v to the -2 power. Okay, what now? Well, anything with a negative exponent needs to be moved to the other side. So this is going to move up to the other side. So on my next step, alright, I've still got that negative sign sitting there. Here's the stuff that's not going to move. I will have u to the 4th power and v, and then I have this u in the denominator. Alright, but the v to the -2 power is going to jump up here and become v to the positive 2 power. And I've still got that negative 4 exponent out there. So now what happens? I've got that negative sign still sitting there. U to the 4th power over u, those are going to cancel each other out and become u to the 3rd power. These v's will get together and become v to the 3rd power. Alright, nothing's really left in the denominator. Okay, I'm debating whether to do the flip thing that I always tell you to do, or whether to do the exponents now. I think I'll just do the exponents right now. So really, this is what I have. Since I have no denominator left, I really just have negative, and you can think of it as negative 1 times all of this to the negative 4th power. Now, I already showed you on a previous problem that negative 1 to the negative 4th power is still positive 1. So this negative 1 is going to disappear on this step. When I do the u to the 3rd power to the negative 4th power and v to the 3rd power to the negative 4th power, I'm just going to multiply those. So that's going to give me u to the negative 12th power and v to the negative 12th power. Okay, so since both of these have negative exponents now, they will drop down to the denominator. So the final answer is going to be 1 over u to the 12th power, v to the 12th power. And that is the final answer. Okay, number 4. What's up? Well, I think I'll do the numerator first. A power to a power, you simply multiply, so this will be v to the 12th power. Now in the denominator, I have negative 2 times negative 2, that is positive 4. U to the negative 3 power times u to the 3rd power, that's u to the 0 power, which is just 1. So essentially these cancel each other out. Oh, well, the same thing happens with the v's. V squared, v to the negative 2 power, that's v to the 0 power. All right, anything to the 0 power is 1. So these cancel each other out. So suddenly I see that this is the final answer. It's just going to be v to the 12th power over 4. So now I feel funny about leaving it asymmetric. Let me center that 4. Alright, that was easy. Number 5, looking at that numerator, I've got negative 4 x y to the 4th power. X to the 4th power times x to the negative 3 power. You add those, you get 1. And I just brought that down. And that's over x squared. So that's what I have so far. Okay, I think I will put the negative sign out in the front, because that's how I like to do things. Now, x over x squared, these will cancel with each other and leave 1 left over x in the numerator. Sorry, that's the denominator. And then I still have the y to the 4th power. And that's the final answer for number 5. Okay, some of these problems are easier than others. So number 6, this is going to be x to the negative 12th power in the numerator. Down here, this is like a negative 1. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And then I'll have x to the negative 5 power. I'm adding these. And I will have y to the 6th power. Again, I am adding the exponents when I multiply. Now, everything that has a negative exponent is going to have to move to the other side. So this is going to drop down to the denominator, and this is going to bounce up to the numerator. So let me start by writing down the things that are not going to move. The 2 is not going to move, and the y to the 6th power is not going to move. Okay, so the x to the negative 5th power goes up and becomes x to the 5th power. X to the negative 12th power goes down and becomes x to the 12th power. Now I will take the additional step. Now that everything's positive, I will cancel out the extra x's. So these 5 x's will cancel out 5 of these x's, leaving 7 x's in the denominator. So that's why I will have 2x to the 7th power, y to the 6th power. There will be nothing left in the numerator, so it'll just be a 1. So this is the final answer for number 6. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and click here in the red apple to watch the next video. Click in the green apple to subscribe, or click the yellow apple for the full playlist.